Ready? Good to go.
Hello! Is everybody out there? Are we on? I think we actually made it this week. So I would like to welcome everyone to Shonere Studios. We're feeling so happy. We think we figured it out. So at least for this week. Thanks, Jennifer.
We're on time.
Oh, yeah.
There's been no technical difficulties.
Yeah, we're proud of our accomplishments. And so we're very excited this week to show you what I've managed to get done on the red shoes. I'm officially a half a week behind, but I'm not worried about that because she is going to be worth every bit of time we put into her. So I'll show you what we got done, and it was a lot of fun for me this week, and I'm getting quite good at using my little camera at my bench, and I think we're going to figure out the lighting issues, and then we're going to be really good to go. So we're going to do that, update you on the red shoes, show you all the little videos I made, and then we're also going to be introducing Baba Yaga and how I've made some conceptual changes with Baba Yaga. So we'll talk about that, and that's part of the creative process, isn't it? It's really important to me to be very authentic in what I do. And I'm not going to try and make a silk purse out of a cow's ear, as my dear mother would say. So this week we have Bunny Batista is going to come down at 2:02. So we'll just do what we're doing. And when he gets here, then that'll probably be the end of our program, because really we're so efficient now, we can just do it. So, okay, I would like to say thank you to Kada for making this series possible and for having faith in me that I could actually learn some of this stuff. And I would also like to acknowledge, in the spirit of reconciliation, that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all the people, Indigenous and non, who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. And we say that with reverence and gratitude.
Land back.
I just almost never not cry when I say that. It's just so beautiful. We've come this far, you know? And so I mentioned that we're going to have Bunny Batista join us for the guest spot today. I think we have some media we'd like to share with you.
Sure.
So we're going to go over to our scene 2.
Right, so we've got some lovely pictures of Bunny.
And can people hear me as the
they can
audio's working?
Yeah, audio's working. They can.
Audio, good. So Bunny is an artist, a visual artist, but all he sent me was
pictures of himself. Does that say a lot about him?
But he is such an interesting person, right? So I think what we decided to do, oh my God, he's such a madman. So while we're going to go over to his website.
Right now?
Yeah, let's go to his website.
Okay, let me pull it up.
And just before are we going to be okay there?
Yeah. I just got to switch something over to...
Can they hear us?
Yeah, they can hear us.
Okay, so
just gotta
while she's figuring that out, I'll say Bunny Batista has a degree with distinction in 2001 from the Alberta College of Art and Design in sculpture. He went to work in media arts and animation and co-founded the Calgary Underground Film Festival. Very interesting. He has also studied drawing and painting abroad. Since 2011, Bunny has been teaching in the continuing education department at the AU Arts, formerly Alberta College of Art and Design. And he teaches animation at the Quick Draw Animation Society and is the current president of the Calgary Allied Arts Foundation. Brian Bunny Batista opened Atelier Artista at C-Space King Edward in 2017. We started our businesses together that year here. He teaches classes regularly and hosts drop-in figure sessions multiple times per week. At his art school, students learn to see in new ways and to improve their skills through hands-on and academic studies. And I have to say, part of the reason why I'm doing this project is I walked into Bunny's studio at the beginning of COVID and I saw that he was streaming live. And I had that experience with the Bumble House, and I just went, I've got to do this. So I talked to him about it, and he said he would teach me how to do it, but then, we both got so busy. Even with COVID, it's been Bunny has been very busy helping doing these amazing paintings for the Canada parks with some other designers from C-Space. It's just, I'll let you talk. We'll ask him about that, and we'll talk about that. Oh God, get my hair out of my face. So then, anyways, but I'm very excited to have him here today because he has been so instrumental. Can we go over to his website now?
I just did that.
We're on his website?
Yeah, well, I just went through and I showed a bunch of the stuff.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, while you were talking.
Okay, so I just also want to say that Bunny wears a lot of hats, as you can tell from his bio, figuratively and actually. He loves his hats. And I just wanted, there's a lot more here, but I just want to say at the very end, he says, Bunny has taken up a tattoo apprenticeship this year.
Oh, I
Because
didn't know
why
that.
not?
That's cool.
So I'm sure he'll fill us in on all his endeavors when he gets here today. In the meantime, we're going to get back to the red shoes. We are plowing ahead with it. And so what we've done this week is work mostly on the frame and all the hypodermic needles. I think, you saw them in their very initial stages. And here they are, ready to go, ready to attach to the frame, and the frame is ready. So to attach to the body. So let's show video number 1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're good to go.
And here we are drawing the, and I think I did this demo live, but then I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll put it in. And you can see, because I actually did it more carefully for the real thing. And then I had to saw the lines. I found out that the carving of the lines was just too difficult. Although over the last week or so, I've come up with some solutions for my carving, which I'll get into later. The tremor makes it almost impossible for me to carve up on the bench. So here we are, we carved all the lines, and then here I am. Just basically what I'm doing here is I'm just scratching with my tool. It is carving, but very lightly. It's all about giving myself a visual clue of what's going on, because we know that Sharpie is eventually going to wear away with all the oil from my hands. And now here you see I'm carving on my lap. That's where I'm most happiest carving, as I think we talked about that last week. So carving on the lap, having so much more control with my tool there. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, I'm resting against my body and not having to reach. My elbows are tucked in. Always when I'm working, I find if I tuck my elbows in, I have more control of my tools. So if I have to have unless the elbows are able to rest on the top of the desk, I'm not in control. So, okay, so that we did that. And then the next is I start to, we'll just go straight into the next demo, the next video.
Did you want to go and show the frame part? Because we didn't show
Yeah, let's show the frame.
Sure. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so here we are. We have the frame, and I did this once, but I'll do it again now that we're further along and we know more about what's actually happening with the piece. So we get that frame, it's located. I've drawn this line with my Sharpie, and I start grinding it with my Mizzy wheel, just double checking it. Yeah, double checking. Oh, okay, so now I'm getting that piece of wire out of the way so that I can grind away at it. What am I doing? What the hell?
Now you're grinding.
Okay, now I'm grinding. So I start grinding so that I can get it up close to the bone. I want to get that recess. The thing is I have to finish the inside recess of the frame before I can go to the next stage of the hypodermics. So before I can attach the hypodermics, I have to know where the edge of the frame is. Because those tabs on the outside are going to be kind of almost disappear once we finish the frame. They're just a visual clue for me. So they're sawing, getting that.
Filing away.
Yeah, filing, sorry. And there we go. And
you can go to the next one if you want.
no, I think there's something I want to show, but maybe not. They're not that long. I tried to make the videos short. Yes, see, here I am filing away. And at one point I took out my saw and I sawed the inside of that line, but that video went missing in action, or
Oh, we saw the little piece off to the side.
yeah, that video went. I did video it, but it didn't video it. I think sometimes I get confused what the camera's doing. That's okay. There's 5 more pieces in this series, and you're going to see a lot of what I do. And this video, I'm just showing you how I use my polishing machine. Really, I didn't need to polish this, but I just wanted to show you how I use my polishing machine. I often polish my pieces before I solder them, and I actually did polish the hypodermic needles before I soldered them, but I didn't get a video of it because that I was unable to do video it at the time. So okay, so now we have the frame. The inside line of really was what we're after there. We're wanting that frame to be very clear, because once we locate the hypodermic needles on it, we have to know where those little noses come over the edge. So that has to be the way we want it. The outside of the frame still will change quite a lot. So the next video would probably be of me cutting those little hypodermic needles up, carving all their little pieces. At one point the piece of material I was using was too long, so I had to cut it in half before I could finish carving them.
So it doesn't
because
hit the end of your
yeah,
saw.
the throat of the saw wouldn't go around. So I'm cutting all those little tabs out, and then I'm filing them away, filing, and yeah, this is me in fast mode, right? So time lapse. it'll always be fast mode to me, my
Becoming a
friends.
master of it.
Yeah, and I do both. I film both, but then I decide how that's going to work. So, okay, so we're all filed here, and then I wonder what it goes is filing, and then I'm going to be cutting all those little bits apart. But what I'm doing here is between where the plunger part of the hypodermic is, I'm filing very carefully there and making so it's almost becomes 3D there.
Yeah.
I'm not worrying about the nose yet because I still have to solder all the needles onto the nose. So I don't want to finish the noses of the hypodermic. Oh, that's what I'm calling them, the noses, where the needle comes out. I'm not going to be touching those. They're going to be all wonky until the very end after I've
So you
soldered
gotta clean them
them.
up anyway after you solder it. So.
Yeah, and when you're soldering, you know how things can move around and you never know. But
Don't make yourself do the work twice.
yeah, so there we go, I think. And then I'm going to be, I guess I want to, you guys may only be going through a few minutes of this, but this took me all day,
Yeah,
so.
you get the fast version, and Shona has to slave over it for hours and hours.
Now, these were long days, let me tell you, but
Yeah.
it's okay. I'm quite excited and looking forward to, this was the tedious part. And so then we're going to just saw all those little hypodermic needles, all those little plungers. We're going to saw them all apart. All together, I need 16 of them. And this is real time, and that's how quite often I do it. There.
Cool.
Okay, so we did that, and then the next thing we did was locate each one of those little hypodermic needles. And I want you to know, before I sawed that whole thing apart, I polished, and that was the step that I didn't film. But I polished them just because I know I'm going to solder them, and whenever I'm going to solder something, I like to polish it first, just to prevent fire scale. Okay?
Does that prevent fire scale? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And so, and it, I didn't believe my teachers when they told me that. Sorry, guys. But I learned it. I learned over the years that if you just a quick polish, it doesn't have to be emeryed and perfectly cleaned up. Just give it a nice polish with I use Fabulester or whatever you use. Everybody uses something different, right? But it's what I call the pre-polish. So okay, so let's go back to and then the next video is the locating of the hypos and the drilling of the frame. And it started out I had to draw all these lines on, so I tried to make, I drew them on so that when I scratch, take a little needle and scratch through when I'm trying to figure out where I should drill, I scratch away the Sharpie and then I know where I should drill. So here I am bending the little needles so they fit that nice rounded frame a little better. And they're very thick and short, so sometimes I had to, some of them bent easier than others. But I used half round pliers and I gave them on the underneath of each one, I gave them a nice little bend. So then as you can see, I located a few of those, but I couldn't show you the videos of me doing that. It was a disaster. It took me a few tries to get it right, But anyway, so I drilled the first one, and as you can see, it's really tedious for me to drill that with my tremor. So what I ended up doing is I actually ended up taking it down to the bottom of my bench and working kind of, not really on my lap, but kind of on my lap, and then it goes really much quicker. So, but that's the first few done, and then you'll, there, that'll be the top 3. Never start at the top. Never start at the one that everybody's going to see first, but I do anyways. It's like you're never supposed to cook something you've never cooked before for company, but I do it all the time. I shouldn't. We shouldn't experiment with our friends. Anyways, I'm using all these little scraps of wire, and yep, there it goes. Okay, now I figured out, put it in my drill block. Actually use the holes that you've got there and keep the frames from moving around. Put your little hypodermic needle down there, hold it, drill it, done. So the first few took quite a while, but the last 13
Salem.
I sailed through, so that it didn't take me near as long. But you see me relocating every once in a while. I have to relocate the wires. So I'm actually using the location holes to hold the frame nice and steady. So all I have to worry about is holding those little tiny hypodermic needle. And then it went really fast. So there we go. Oh, it was such a pleasure. There we go. And now I'm all done.
All right.
Good. So, yes, you can watch in 10 minutes, which took me 2 days. That's okay. I love my work. I get to do this full time. I just love it. Thank you so much, Kata. I love my job. So, okay, so next we have the soldering, which was super cool what happened. We're going to show you that video. May as well. We're just going to sail through.
Sounds great.
And so what I do is I have to, after using the snips, the wire cutters, it squishes the top of the wire just a little. So I have to file all the ends that I'm going to be poking into the holes. But as you can see, I'm putting 2 hypodermic needles on each one, and they have to be facing the right way. And then I actually got 4 needles, front and back, all connected with wires. I made like a ladder with wires. Now you might ask, why would you do that? And that is because the wires are very thin and they melt very easily. But if you attach them all over the place, then the whole piece heats up at the same time. It's basically, I created a heat sink. Here I am. I snip all my wire into my finger, and then it holds like 8 pieces at a time, and then I sprinkle it on my little brick.
When you told me about how that little heat sink trick works, I was like, that's pretty smart.
Cool. It was these, honestly, I only had to resolder 1 rivet. I was very pleased with the way it went. So here I am. I did make like 3 or 4 videos of this, but I only showed you the fast time one because the other one is so noisy. The real mode is real noises in my studio. So I'm finding I'm including
Torch
those.
can be quite loud.
Yeah, the torch is loud, and then my solder pure
Extraction fan.
Yeah, the extraction fan. Oh, thank you, Jennifer.
Oh,
You
no
know
worries.
my language, and I forget it. So here we are soldering these, and 4 at a time, front and back rivets. And in the end, I only had to resolder 1 rivet
Out of
out of 16.
That's really good.
And you can't always exactly see what you're doing, but just so you know, I'm always putting the solder on the inside of the rivet or on the underneath of the hypodermic needle, because then I don't have as much cleanup on the top, and I will not. You'll see I just am filing the top lightly just to get away from any sharpness of the needle when this comes out. Anyways, there it is, all just making sure it's all done. I use quite a heavy torch tip. I flick it off right away because otherwise it sticks to the brick. The flux sticks to the brick. Put it in, and this was the last. I was calling them ladders in my head. I name everything. I tell everything. So there they are, all soldered. That one's been in the pickle the longest, and there you go. So then I soldered them all. All the rivets were soldered, and we've all got them located. Each one of those rivets, the back rivet is going to be longer because it's not just going to go through the frame, it's going to go into the skull and be part of the way we hold the skull onto the bone. So the next video would be me
soldering the first needle.
Soldering the first needle. I guess I didn't show the filing of. Oh yeah, there. I filed I cut all the rivets off the top. I left them on the bottom, and then I have to grind. I think I showed you this once in real time in a real demo. I have to grind a little divot into the top of the nose, and that's why I haven't touched those noses, because I just want them to be as thick as they can be. So I drilled a little divot in the top, and here they are set up 2 at a time, one piece of wire between both rivets, and you'll see only one took, but you never know. Yeah, I always like to go for the highest bid. You know what I mean? Aim for the moon, you'll land if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. So one of them worked. The other one didn't. So look, there, just get it out of there. Don't let the solder attach in any way. So now I have a bunch of soldered rivets, and so here I'll show you. There's 2 of them. So, or not soldered rivets, but 2 of the needles. And when I clean it up, they are going to be cool, and then I'm going to cut them in the middle, but I'll do all the cleanup, all the forming, all the polishing, and then I'll cut them and finish the ends. Here you'll notice that I'm leaving the little bumps on the rivet. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, we forgot to turn on our light today. Our extra light.
Oh yes.
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Here, let me get this. Oh, let's show you what the magic little things that go on here. There.
Ah.
This just gives us a little more light here, and I love that. I got it at the camera store. It's my nice little LED. Anyways, here I left the rivets so that they're a little bit above the surface of the metal. When I'm done, I'll file them super flat, but this way, when the solder flows, every time the solder flows, it goes deeper into the metal. Every time the solder flows, it goes deeper into the metal. So if you clean up and get everything all nice and heat that up, you might end up with no solder in that joint. So I always leave a little bit, and I'll actually even do a drawing here to show you what I mean by that. We'll switch to this camera. I'll get this. Oh, let's get this camera over here. Don't you just love it? So here's the surface of my metal. Can you see that? Here's my rivets are going through. Deep, 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 deep. If I take this off and make it super clean, every time the solder flows, it's going deeper into this metal. And what we end up with, and this is a top view, we end up with a whole, like a line around where our solder was. But if I leave this little tiny bit up there till the very end, when I clean up, it completely disappears. That, my friends, is a very good principle when you're soldering. I'm sure anybody who knows about soldering probably knows that, but I didn't.
I didn't know that.
Charles taught me that.
Cool.
So thank you, Charles. And okay.
That's all of the videos that we've done.
That's all our videos. And so now we've got the beginning of these, and I've got the original one that I made that you saw the video of, and I have to clean up the back and do all that. But what I realized is I've got all this going on. I have all my hypos ready to go now, and I've got my frame ready to go now, but that's the last thing that the Red Shoes gets, is the frame. So we're going to let that frame go now, and we're going to work on the, is this the right box? Yeah. So now we have to finish the components that we need first. So once we get going, we're going to start with the head. So what needs to be finished is the eye. All the eyes have to be finished, and then we're going to work along into the body. And so we need to finish the eyes, the hands, the shoes can be left to the last, and the actual heart pendant and the frame can be left to the last. So this week I'm going to focus on getting the eyes finished. So what I did this week is I made the big eye for this, the back. I'm calling it the big back eye. That's what I'm calling it. And I did have it on here earlier today, but it takes a bit of finagling. But what I've got is the rivets coming out here. And then I've left the wires long in the back. So they will attach to the felt. And that's what will hold the back eye in, as well as we're going to have a lid come up here and at the bottom. And then we have this big guy. It's going to be there. It's going to be a really beautiful, creepy eye, and that's what I'm looking for. And so there's that one. I've got this frame made again with the wires left out. I have to polish this now again and carve an eye in there, and then this will get glued to the back of this, and that will be the front eye. So that's really close. That's like half an hour away from being finished. The big piece that has to be done this week is to get the little tiny high post made for this eye, which I've got all drawn here, and I only need the tops of them. I don't need the noses. And then I'm going to use thick wire, very thick wire, for the high post on the eye and the pendant, especially the pendant. We need the really thick. So I'll be, even though I don't need the pendant to last, I'll be working with the pendant and the little eye at the same time, because they need the same, what do you call it?
Process?
Yeah, I'm going to be going through the same process with them, and that all will be revealed, because I will film myself making them. So we're getting pretty good at this. And so the other thing that I realized needed to be made was the hanger for the back of the red shoes. And typically I've been making something that forks up into there, and then the hanger comes up here. And I thought, oh, this was the piece that we originally cut off the inside of the frame. And so I drew on it. I went, oh, what kind of I'll make a frame, I thought. But it's not big enough. I'll make a frame that with a silhouette of the hypodermic needle, but it's not big enough. It's not long enough. Oh, then I can solder a piece. And then last night, I was getting the hairs out and making sure they were all there, ready for filing. And I went, oh my God, why don't you just take a piece of wire make a frame, and then I just started making it, and then I realized, oh no, I didn't film myself and I didn't show anything. So here we go. That's why I had that in there this morning. All I did was take my pliers and hold the frame, hold the metal, push, and then push, and then I'll just wangle it around, and then I'm going to forge it. I'm going to forge this piece of metal, and it will come down behind the red shoes, and these are going to go up, but I don't want to do that until this is, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters. These will go up and
Trying to
get in there. So I don't want to bend. I don't want to use the pliers to bend the wire. I want to use the wire. I just want the pliers to hold the wire. So there we go. There we have our hanger. And now all I need to do is forge it, which I'll just do a small demonstration. Oh, I need a forging needle. Let's, a hammer. And I think I will use one of my good hammers. I have a secret place I keep my best hammers because I don't want to get them damaged, so we want to try and keep them as pristine as possible for processes like this. So what I'm going to be doing here is, that's why I didn't want to, I'll just unbend those a little bit. And all I'm going to do is I'm just this, and then before I better get that a little bit more. I'm just forging it flat. That's all I'm doing. And what it will do is forging it makes the metal stronger and keeps, you remember how it was wiggling around? Now it's harder and harder to wiggle that around. So that's basically, I'll have this finished for next week. I'm going to forge it out some more. I'll file these to a mellow point, and then they'll tuck up underneath there, behind the felt, behind everything that happens inside her belly. And it'll keep her hung on the wall when it's time. So that's where we're at with the red shoes. I'm not stressing about it. It's going to take longer than I thought. That's okay. We have other pieces to work on. And today I want to I just can't wait to start the Baba Yaga. I've been really, really chomping at the bit. So I've been reading about rereading all the stories I know about Baba Yaga, reading anything I can find on Baba Yaga, and to be honest, I found nothing. Years ago, a couple of winters ago, I was sure I read a reference to Baba Yaga as a non-binary person, entity. And yet, when I went in to do some more research on that, I found nothing. And so I went, well, the first Baba Yaga I made was bisexual, and I felt really good about that. So why did I do that? Why did I make that first Baba Yaga bisexual? Because I wanted to claim power. Because at the time, women were still fighting for equal rights, right? And there was, I knew lots of gay people and everything, and I knew lots of gay people actually when I went to ACAD. So gay people were not out. I was shocked because they came from a town that was so open, So I was shocked that people were still hiding the fact that they were gay. And the terrible word of fag, it used to get thrown around a lot the first semester I was there, and as a derogatory term, and I was just shocked that people would say that, or they'd say, "Oh, that's so gay," and I would go, I just couldn't believe it.
Coming to Alberta.
But I was in an art school.
Yeah.
So what I started doing, anytime somebody said that to me, I go, "Oh, I'm surprised you would say that. I thought you were gay." And
People
often they would go, especially if it was a male, "Me?" And you know what? By the end of the semester, nobody was throwing that word around anymore.
Good for you. Starting your revolution.
And of course, I did all these paintings of women, old ladies touching themselves.
I love it.
And touching each other, and very erotic paintings, and for my drawing class. And it really was disturbing, but I felt like, oh my God, like, what's the matter here? A, old women can't be sexual. B, they can't be gay. Hello? So anyways, I had a lot of fun, but it also really got me thinking about women's sexuality and aging women's sexuality, because that was the first year in my life where I was quite gray. I was in my mid-40s, and it was the first time in my life I heard someone say, "Look at that old lady. Look at that old lady. She's doing this and that." And I went, "What?" Here, let me get my hair out of my eyes. And I went, "Oh my God, I'm an old lady." I didn't mind that, My daughter always said to me, "What are you worried about your aging? You've always called yourself an old bag." I love growing old. I just love it, because the older I get, the more I get away with. People don't, or the less people expect of you, and so the more you can surprise them, and surprises are good, I think. Anyways, this all has to do with Baba Yaga, because then when I made my first Baba Yaga that year as well, and I wanted to empower old women. And as I was reading the Baba Yaga stories, and as a storyteller in Nelson, I used to tell the story of Vasilisa the Wise. And based on that story, I created one about the harpy. And I would always describe her in her ugly glory. And she was like Baba Yaga, reviled and would eat people. And then I did Hansel and Gretel, and the witch was reviled and she would eat people. And then I started reading stories. I remembered stories I'd read from all over the world, universal stories about always old women eating children, always old women eating people. And I went, why is that? And so I realized that it was because, and they were almost always alone in the forest, or with two sisters in the forest, three old ladies alone. And I realized it's because they had been abandoned by their tribes, their cultures, their community, and they were left on their own. And they didn't have the ability to go hunting and fishing and gathering like they may have when they were younger. And but they were still smart.
So they lure people in.
So they knew how to lure people in. I've got to tell you this. There's a native story, a Blackfoot, I'm pretty sure it's a Blackfoot story, about a hero, and there's this old woman who lives alone, but on the plains in Alberta. And so on the hill, she creates this slide, and she goes down the slide, and she has so much fun. And she waits till somebody's watching, and then she goes down the slide, and she's squealing with joy, and she splashes into the river below, and it's ever so much fun. And then the person who sees her says, "Oh, that looks like fun." And she says, "Give it a try." But what they don't know is that halfway down the slide, or somewhere in her bag of tricks, somehow she has hidden some kind of a device that when they go down the slide, she trips the device, and then they go down a different way into a different part of the river. And what's in that river? Spikes. And they are impaled and killed on the spikes, and then she has her dinner. There you go. So I think, and the same with Hansel and Gretel. Like the old witch has Hansel, she makes a house that's yummy to eat and beautiful to gaze upon, and who wouldn't trust the old lady in there, right? So Baba Yaga is the same entity. So Baba Yaga is a reviled, abandoned old woman in some stories. But beyond that, Baba Yaga is one of the entities that is almost godlike, and like Loki in the Norse myth, or Coyote in North American myths, and there are many others all over the planet, she's a trickster. She is a transformer. She helps transform either people's lives, or maybe even transform the planet. So this is who Baba Yaga is, a very powerful person. She is above and beyond human morals and ethics. Just like Old Man in Native myth, who is just like, he is very funny, he is a trickster, he is a comedian, but he does horrible things. He kills babies and feeds them to their grandmothers, he rapes, he kills all the bison, steals all the bison, like he's, he could be a terrible guy, and then he can be very beneficent and very helpful to the tribe. And Baba Yaga is the same way. She can eat the children that come to her, or she can, like with Vasilisa, she gives her fire and flame inside a skull, and when Vasilisa gets home, her sisters and mother are burnt to a crisp by gazing upon that fire. And I think I mentioned that before with Baba Yaga is such a powerful creature that she is godlike, and gazing upon her.
It reminds me a little bit of like fairy stories, where it's like, well, if you do the right things to the fairy and you ask very nicely and you have something in return, then maybe the fairy queen will give you a gift. But if not, then she might just feed you to the spiders.
That's right. Oh yeah, for sure. So like, I think the fairies are definitely those kind of tricksters.
Yeah.
And so I decided not to make Baba Yaga non-binary, and I am just going to make this piece powerful and godlike and I want people to go, oh my God, when they see it. So here we go. We have, can you get me the leg out of the drawer? It's a little bit open there.
Over here?
Yeah, it should be, the deer leg should be in there.
Is it the skull one?
No, it's a deer leg. It's the deer leg. Here we go.
Full deer leg. I wasn't expecting.
So we're just going to move on, and when Bunny gets here, he gets here. He said he's coming down at 2:02 on the February, the 2nd month, the 22nd day, 2022.
Cool.
So a lot of power in the number 2, especially when we have, today we have 2 triple 2s. We have 2nd of the 22nd of the 2nd month, 2022. Apparently that's a big power day. Make your wishes, kids. Place your intentions. All our dreams can come true. Never doubt it.
I'm taking a moment to...
Yeah, you take a moment. Everyone take a moment. So here we go. I think, I don't know how we're going to film that.
You can hold it.
Can you hold it while I get the...
Sure.
This, I can't wait to get this piece going.
Out of the way so I can see it.
It's
better.
just, it is so amazing, just like that. And then we have, do you want to grab the owl skull? Then we have the owl skull. And something else I learned in my research this week is that this hut that is on chicken legs, there we go.
I love it.
Oh my God, can you just...
Here, I'm going to turn this one so they can see from this angle.
Is that going to...
I think it'll work. Just give me a sec.
Yeah, that is amazing. Oh my God, even like the back of it is going to be just as wicked as the front.
Oh yeah.
So we have all these wonderful components that we're working with. So it doesn't need a lot of messing around. But I'm thinking that I'm going to carve chicken leg and chicken claws here. Chicken leg, chicken claws. Pretty sure I'm going to carve that. The deer foot, I may put some rings around it, but I may just leave it. It's just so amazing.
I love that ring idea.
It could be cool, and
Yeah.
we could use the fur to go around it. So I'm going to play around with that. And then we have the back of it. Is that what you're seeing? No. The back of it has all these teeth here. And it's part of this, in some of the stories of Baba Yaga, the keyhole has teeth in it. And she is described with iron teeth that chomp and grind. And so I want to play more with the teeth idea. And I'm going to see if I've got some small, I just had that idea. Is it here or here? I have a lot of little jaws like this, and I'm thinking that they might end up somehow using the jaws for the doorway of Baba Yaga. That's one idea, or putting them inside Baba Yaga so they come out of her recess. I really want to put a recess in there. And the other things I thought about was a keyhole with teeth in it. That was, and then maybe even flames around it, or I might just carve the flames, like keep the metal work quite simple this time, because it's just such a beautiful piece. I think I don't want to overdo it. And the arms, I have some twigs, some lilac twigs at home that I think will make perfect arms for Baba Yaga, and she's often described as having twig arms. And the other thing that I was talking to Jennifer about is the whole idea of that hut. Can you find that image?
Yeah, I will.
We forgot to do this morning, but
Open up the browser.
there is an image. Hundreds of years ago, the hunters and gatherers in Eastern European forest, which was vast, would build these cabin-like structures without doors or windows in them on top of trees that they would saw off, and the huts would go on top, and then they would put all their cache of hunting, all their animals and everything inside through a trapdoor on the top. So you've got all these stumps coming down, and the roots are on top of the ground. They look like chicken legs. Like, it's an amazing picture. Have you got it up? Are the people seeing it?
Yeah, they can see it.
It's just amazing. And they had to have a minimum of 3 legs, 3 trees. So I saw some that had like many,
there was one it's going down here.
Oh, look at that one there.
This one?
That one.
Oh.
And they're just amazing.
Here,
So you can take a look. We went Baba Yaga's hut tree legs, and you can take a look at those, and you can see why the myth became. Oh, that one's fantastic.
Yeah.
You can understand then why this myth developed as it did.
Here's the 3
And
legs. 3 legs.
oh my God, it's so great. But that one has doors and windows. But the whole idea that this is a magical hut that Baba Yaga calls for that hut to turn to her and open its door. All these things, they're very magical. So I think we're going to really work with the idea of power, of personal power, not, but also power for elderly people. Because as we know, COVID was really shown a light on how vulnerable elderly people can be and how we must take better care of them and not forget about them. So easy to stick them in a home, walk away, someone else's business, right? So that whole thing, there's that. Part of the reason why I wanted to do Baba Yaga for this series too was the fear that I saw around COVID. And so I see that fear. Young people look upon elderly people, and there's something fearsome in their appearance to them because they're deteriorating, they're going bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot of us are past our due date, and as my dear friend used to say. And so it's like, it's not something the culture, especially a culture such as ours at this time in history, doesn't want to think about that, doesn't want to think that they too will grow old.
Our mortality staring us in the face.
Yeah, and this is a culture of youth and beauty and good. I love to look upon young, beautiful people. They're all beautiful. The older you get, the prettier they get, right? And that's good. But I also want to draw attention to aging and sexuality, aging and power, aging and wisdom, and all those things that help us be better, build community. As I'm getting older, it's more important for me to do projects like this so I can pass on my knowledge. I'm interested in mentoring people. I'm interested in passing on my knowledge. So there you go. That's what Baba Yaga is about. And do I hear Bunny Batista walking in just at the right time?
Live? I'm like, I can't.
We are live. We are live.
Look at your gear.
Okay, before
Yes, Brian.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
But we're going to hook them up with our fence
go through
microphone. And so next week,
my first
we're going to have some drawings on Baba Yaga, and we're going to maybe even have some carvings done. But whatever, we're going to keep working on the red shoes, but we're going to keep working with the rest of the project. And here comes our friend
What
Brian.
a great setup.
Bunny Batista.
Come in frame now?
Please come on in.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, good. And are you having hot chocolate from downstairs?
And coffee.
Oh, goody. Goody for you.
It's
Last
the midday
week
kick.
we did the aroma coffee. Don't forget, there's one more week. You can come down, have a hot chocolate to die for.
It's the best hot chocolate.
The best. The
I
best.
think they put like chili in it. It was good.
Yeah. A little
I
spice.
love my
What's? Oh my God! Look at it. Video switcher. You guys are pros over here.
and I told people that you were part of the reason why I want to do this project, right? And this is my,
That's true.
yeah, I
There was
don't-
some inspiration. I'll tell you. I mean, we've known each other a long time. After art school, I was in film and video.
right.
I was a production guy at media for like 11 years, and I started the Calgary Underground Film Festival.
I know.
And then when we got shut down, I started live streaming. And yeah, you would come and ask me like, how do I do this? So looking at your technology, I feel like I don't know anything anymore. I kind of like cobbled mine together in the cheapest way possible without buying any new gear. I used my old DSLR camera, which is like 10 years old, and like cables. Actually, it looks like kind of the same in here. And then figured out how to screen capture off my computer, run it through a free software called OBS, because I didn't want to buy. You got a switcher even.
But I got the 810 mini switcher because
You teach me now.
now we're using this, and for the first time today, we are running our cameras on a charger.
Yes. Yeah.
We're running it on a charger for the first time. I do it all the time at my bench, but I was laying there the other night going, how come that wouldn't work with this is called a mod? Pod or something from GoPro, and why wouldn't it work? Well, maybe if I took the batteries out, then maybe it'll work, and voila,
Yeah.
it's working. So we're not having to have our
Batteries die? Yeah,
halfway
yeah.
through our.
And that's the one thing, you know, in my DSLR, I had to order a third-party plug and battery, and it was like, I had to source it from China, and, you know, it
Yeah.
doesn't come with the gear sometimes.
Right.
But especially if you're doing time-lapse, like, you need that battery power, so.
Yeah, and I'm doing the time lapse. Like I'm set up here and I actually set up here I have two cameras going while
Yeah.
I'm filming my process. So now I can just put that into my OBS
Yeah.
and show people and then talk about what I did.
How do you have multi-camera in your OBS? I can
Because
have.
I have the A10 mini. We should actually take this camera 2 and show
the
what we're
crotch camera.
doing. Oh, sure. Yeah. So what we're going to do, because we talked about this last week, right? And then we never did it because I forget, you know. If it's not on my prompts here, I've got prompts, you'll see. And if
This
it's
is
not
very
there.
professional.
Oh, it's
I'm going to take a shot.
I had
You're going
one-
to teach me.
Ron Chikora did that.
Camera 2.
Okay, we're going to go on camera
Whoa.
2 and see.
The shoe camera.
The stars.
Yeah.
And then we have our ATEM down here, which is our switchboard, so we can switch through the different cameras. We've got 1, 2, 3. The
Press
main
one. Press one so they can
Oh,
see.
no.
Aha!
See,
We just
back
went back to the main
back
one.
at you, kids.
And then we press number 2, and we're back at the ATEM.
Oh my God.
Number 2. Number 3 is the one that we were using on the bench.
But we haven't been.
We haven't been
But
using it, we haven't
but I
had
do
it.
have a little thing
Yeah.
here, so she can watch
Over
that from there.
Is the Lumahawk, the second one.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've got the first Lumahawk up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then below it is camera number 1.
Camera.
And then-
It's thing 1, thing
Yeah.
2, and thing
And
3.
then we've got our computer set up, or the laptop, where we have all the programs, and then all of the cords. And if we look up here, we have cords hanging from the roof.
Brilliant.
Oh, I don't-
Lights
I
everywhere.
don't know if we're allowed to have those, so we'll
What?
just keep it.
There's no cords hanging from the roof.
Station
I
Shona.
didn't say anything.
So we have Shona Ray Studios
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
And sometimes we use the third, like it was really important to me to have 3 cameras, but then I realized that it was just better off for me to film myself during the week and then show what I've done to the
Right.
studio audience.
Pre-recorded. I gotcha.
But I still want to do the live streams every week because it forces me to actually edit all those little films I make, and then have them ready for the next week. So,
And Shona's become a master at figuring out the time lapse and all that stuff and putting it together and getting the little videos.
I learned how to edit.
Oh my gosh.
And so these were all things I talked to you about when I first had the idea. That was at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
So that summer was when I was really starting to ask for money for the project.
Yes.
And it took, I started in 220, it was 222 we actually started filming.
Yeah.
And even then, today was the first episode that we went to the main screen and we turned it on and it happened. It's the first time.
Magic.
Yeah. Even though it's called a black magic thingy, sometimes it wasn't.
When I started this stuff, it wasn't HD. We recorded to tape. I recall I did a documentary with you in it and Joan.
I was a clown.
Yeah, you were doing your clown stuff. And that was like old SVHS tapes. And then you would have to take the tape and record it into the software. At that time, it was Premiere 1 and 2, and Stu Swamp taught it to me. Yeah. And it was like this rolly thing. And so everything that I learned was analog. By the time I had left Media, it was still mini DV tapes.
Oh, okay.
And so I hadn't really jumped into the HD world, and then I went back to being a painter. So now I'm a Luddite, because that's how us painters work. We got our stick with hair on it, and we just mash it with goopy colored stuff. None of this high-tech stuff you got here. Somebody made it rain in here. Just money falling.
It was Ron Chikora, but also I have to thank Kada is supporting me to actually do the broadcasting, the time I need, paying me for my time. And the Nickel bought a piece from me last year. And then I had a private collector in January by the Emperor's New Clothes, which gave me the resources to get the third camera and the fancy
One of the things, like when I had to close the art studio, this would have been a great setup. The barrier for the students were the multi-views, because I could show me painting, but I couldn't show my palette. And then I was using Zoom, so they saw my face too. That was great, because it's like an awesome video if you could switch channels.
Right.
But the issue is for me to see them. Every student would have needed this, because they're mixing colors and I can't see them. I don't know what they're doing incorrectly. So I found that in the terms of the way that I teach skills, I am a hands-on person to person. Yeah. But I'm still, the live streams are great. It's just looking over my shoulder and me talking to no one for 3 hours. I learned that new skill. That's interesting.
Having this really helps, because I talk to myself all the time, right? So now I get to watch myself talk to myself.
Yeah.
But I know there's people, I think there's people out there.
Well, it'll be archived usually.
Do we have any comments today?
No comments today.
Oh, you know what? That's okay.
The YouTube studio.
We do have somebody on there.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's nice just to have it on and listen to people talking while they work in their studio.
And then what we're going to do, and we have plans, right? Like, obviously I have a band. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
This summer when we do our summer series of music. And then I think I'm thinking it'll be useful for anyone who wants to use it, like Jennifer, Cindy, Cherry, Miss Cherry. You're just such a star. Everybody would love to see you. I'm going to have to interview you one of these days.
If
So
you wanna, you can hire me to come help out with lots of stuff.
yeah, she's my.
You kind of need a moderator for these things, hey? Like a camera switcher, someone to look for the comments.
Yeah, because she goes and
Yes,
I
yeah.
get all like, oh, I have to go online now.
Well, it's good if there is a question that you say, hey, there's a question from so and such, because when I'm drawing, I can't look at the chats online,
you don't have
and so
people
I start
reading.
talking to them, but it shows it 20 seconds later, but it came up a minute earlier, so it's
Yeah.
just like
But then it's irrelevant.
it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's also for people who are watching the archive or the playback, they're like, what are you talking to?
Yeah.
You know?
It's
Yeah.
also
It's weird because the chat doesn't remain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't help
and
out afterwards.
Jennifer has been, if there is somebody in chat, she says, so-and-so says, or
Yeah.
asks. And so, yeah. And then these episodes are up
Yeah.
afterwards.
Cool.
And I'm gonna, maybe, I know there's other things I could do with them, but one thing at a time. It's been a lot to learn since January 5th.
Yeah.
I've learned how to use all this
That's
stuff.
fantastic.
One
That was
of
my
the
mom's
future
birthday.
plans.
Was it?
Yes. So, Shona, you said you were going to interview me, and you said 10 minutes. I have never in my life, over 20 years of knowing you, we have never only talked for 10 minutes. So I don't know what we're going to do with this.
Well, I was going to say, I have to ask you about your tattooing thing.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
going on?
Well,
I showed him the picture of you.
A friend of mine bought or inherited a tattoo shop that was closed up in Airdrie.
Okay.
Matt Brunning.
Oh, yeah.
We went to school with him.
Yeah.
And he started doing me, and I was like, I can draw. I could probably do this. So he, on Sundays, doesn't have any clients, and he lets me use his machines. So now bodies have lined up. I've got like 10 people who want. They're free tattoos.
Okay.
Yeah, they're free tattoos right now.
You heard it here.
Because I'm learning.
He's giving me a free tattoo.
Because I can draw so well and I have such a steady hand, they're like, you're ready for skin. I was shaking like a leaf. And you know what's so stupid? Having been tattooed myself, it's going to hurt. And I didn't want to hurt someone. So I'm just like tenderly touching, and they're like, no, that's not going in. And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to hurt them. I'm like, what am I doing? Anyways, my first tattoo turned out great, healed wonderful. So then a friend shows up the next week, and I'm hoping no one comes. So I can just clean stuff and not have to like get the needle out. And then I'm like, well, what do you want? I've been trying to talk to her for a week. What do you want? Because I'm only doing original designs. I'm not doing clip art or
Right.
there's a difference between a tattoo artist and someone who does tattoos, a tattooist.
Trust me, I could rant on that for minutes.
Well, let's not.
Well, I'm going to give a third one. I'm an artist who's going to tattoo.
That's right.
So I want to do things that are original. So she says, well, I want something bunny and original. And I have this cartoon character I've been drawing since art school. And she comes in and I get an iPad out, which I've only used twice now. See, I'm behind on the technical skills. So I've learned some iPad. And I draw this rabbit, and she's like, okay. I'm like, let's do it. Both tattoos I've drawn, I want. So I think that's the key. If I would want that tattoo myself. Now, I'm going to tell you another crazy story. I didn't know this was going to be about tattooing. Turns out my grandma was tattooed neck all the way down by very famous tattoo artists. So I posted, hey, I'm doing some tattoo. And my aunt says, you know, your grandma was all tattooed. And I'm like, well, I kind of heard. My mom had seen it once. So then my aunt sends me this box of photos and business cards from these different famous tattoo artists. And she was offered $10,000 to model her tattoos in, what's the city in Holland? Sorry.
Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, and it's not Holland, it's Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess she turned it down. So then this other friend I made on the internet sees that I'm tattooing and works at the first tattoo shop ever in Calgary, Smiling Buddha. And her boss was best friends with the guy who tattooed my grandma. So this started to turn into a journey of, like a map of places and times. I get this little card that says March 18th. It doesn't say the year. This time, how much you paid Black Hat Tattoo. And I'm like, okay. I got these business cards from the 1990s, 80s, and 90s. And like, these guys are super famous back in the day. And then I start learning about the history of tattooing in Canada, which is crazy because it's like biker art.
Yeah.
Then
Sailor
this guy has stories, and then I start finding pictures of my grandma and her tattoos. So this has been like a journey through mapping the body and finding where these tattoos were made and what they are. Then I find out that this guy she was tattooed by the Dutchman, who's super famous. She used to go to Hawaii with him and his wife. So now I got the Hawaii vacation pictures with these tattoos. It's crazy.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
I feel like I could make a documentary about it, but it kind of validates the fact that I'm tattooing in a way, because when I was a kid, there were tattoo magazines out, and I used to draw like skulls with snakes coming out of their eyes. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in my 40s, but maybe my calling has come.
Well,
Full circle.
and you know what? We don't have to validate anything as artists.
Oh,
We-
well, that's what they taught me in art school, was to
Yeah.
validate and talk.
Oh, yeah, but but you don't have to validate anything you do. I think you have proven yourself as committed to your journey.
Because I
as an
can't do
artist.
anything else, right? That's actually what happens.
That's what happens. Shh, don't tell your kids that.
Yeah.
That's what happens. After a while, you're no good for anything else. But that's okay, because we are so important to society, right? And
It's a tough journey sometimes, but
I don't have any tattoos except for the tattoos that I've given myself soldering. This was a burn. This little
Oof.
mark is a
you
burn
need a
that I
close-up
got.
of that. Use your
Okay.
close-up cam.
I got a burn when I was making my
Wow.
Ian Herb's wedding rings.
Well, you don't
And-
need the ring then, right?
Well, that was the thing, is I suggested when decided we were gonna get married, that we do tattoo rings, because he always loses his rings, because he's got cone-shaped fingers
That
and they
makes
just slip
sense.
off. And so he said, no, he's very old-fashioned that way.
Traditional,
And he would
yeah.
not do that, but I ended up with my little tattoo. And I have a few others from
Yes. Injuries, I could see one on the inside of the palm there, too.
That was a pencil. A high school teacher threw me the pencil, and I grabbed it the wrong way.
I got a pencil
an A
stab in my
class.
eye. A kid stabbed me in the face with a pencil there.
Oh, he didn't mean to, but he felt so bad. I mean, it was a really bad, and I've had it for the rest of my life.
I was never going to get tattoos. And Ray, my roommate, he's like, you've changed. You've changed. You went to school with Ray, another
Yeah.
jeweler. And so I kept it secret. I started designing these things like body armor. I had my heart broken, and I thought, that's where I'll start. So the guy who's tattooing me doesn't tell me that this is one of the most painful areas. And I got a big piece.
Right.
And
We
I
showed it earlier.
I
in the
got
program.
through it, and well, it's not done yet, but I got through it. And then he's like, I can't believe you did that, man. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, that's one of the most painful places. It's a good place to start.
Yeah.
But I actually had one tattoo before that. It's a secret one. I studied at the Paris Academy of Art, and I was living in La Défense, it's northeast of Paris. And at that time, Anthony Bourdain, in a hotel very close to mine, had just killed himself. And he was a hero of mine. And I got up at 6 a.m. and it was really bothering me a lot. You know, like, he's a celebrity or whatever, but it just rang true. And I'm walking down the street, and I stood on the bridge, and I looked in the water. I'm like, you know, not suicidal, but just like dark days. I'm moping through. And the thing about I went to French immersion. My French is so terrible that no one in Paris would talk to me not in English. It was like I had butchered. I would say bonjour, and they instantly knew this Canadian is going to butcher our language. Just speak to him in English. So I felt really isolated, and I'd spent a month and a half there. This had happened, so I was pretty down, and I had kind of given up on France. I wanted out, and I turned the corner, and there's this street artist, and he has a big show, and he's doing tattoos, and I'm like, I will never get a tattoo. But they were so nice to me, around the same age, and it was an art show. It wasn't like they're just out there. And I hung out with these guys, and I felt community again. I didn't talk about what was up, but it was just nice to connect with people that weren't servers or in the class. And so I was like, all right, give you my leg. And here, we'll put it in the little camera. It's actually kind of embarrassing. It's
Cherry skull.
yeah, but it's cherry skulls, right? Like,
Oh, is it?
I might as well got
He's got
dolphin.
cherry skulls on his
a
leg.
feather on my foot.
I mean, it's not,
I gave my daughter a bag
it's
of
not
cherry
as
skulls.
cliche as like a dream catcher.
Yeah. So this is what I'm learning too in this culture, this world. They have different names for different styles. So the one that's really popular right now is called ignorant style. And it's gross. It's like those kids that get them everywhere on their face. And it's like the worst drawing ever. And it's funny. And
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy I went to school with, his name is Steele Duncan, and he started tattooing specifically to do that. He draws really, really bad drawings of cats and dogs.
Oh.
and they're really terrible, purposely.
Yep.
And his friends were like, "Hey, I want that as a tattoo," so now he's getting him this tattoo.
It's a style. Yeah.
I have kids that are in the 40s, right? So, and 30s, so they have tattoos. Some of them are so bizarre, but when my daughter was 14 or 15, her friends and her got drunk, and she tattooed "eat shit" on her hands, which again is a very painful part of the body.
Yeah.
But they were so drunk by the time they got to the T, the shit T.
Shit. Couldn't do
It's
it?
twice. They did two. They did two
TT?
T's.
Oh my
on their
gosh.
finger. So then, when I was in art college, I paid some guy from Australia, a tattoo artist, her name is Ivy, so he did these beautiful vines on her hands.
Oh, to cover it.
Yeah, and they're quite gorgeous, but I think she still has "eat" on the other hand. But, and I have, tattoo stories galore with those kids, but that's okay. It's a different, I have never had a tattoo, but maybe I will now that you're a tattoo artist.
My resistance was, I'm an artist who tattoos. My resistance was, for me, being very health conscious, I fast 3 times a year, that I had it in my mind that was wrecking my temple. But through, the changes,
You've transformed.
I am now calling it decorating my temple.
That's right.
The problem is it's addictive. And then it's I go in the tattoo shop and the other 2 girls are like, "Who's tattooing who today?" We're going to run out of skin by the end of this summer.
And some people have nicer skin. My son-in-law has beautiful skin, and so for competitions and that, and this is started 20 years ago, his friends would tattoo, but weird stuff, like a bottle of baby duck with a duck coming out of
Oh my
it,
gosh.
and
That's
really that real lowbrow.
Yeah.
But beautiful skin that takes the ink beautifully. So he is tattooed everywhere, all over his body with these very bizarre tattoos, and but they look good.
Tells a story, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's what my daughter told me. She said, when I look at my body now, I see the history of who I was.
Yeah.
Like the dorky black cat on my leg that covered up the first tattoo that I got her when she was 14. I got her a tattoo of 12 yin yang with flames around it. She covered it up.
I would have got that. I like the yin yang.
Well, at the time, it's
That was
for a
cool.
12-year-old on her
Wow.
ankle. I felt anyways.
Wow.
Kids.
You're really progressive. I wasn't even allowed to dye my hair until I was 14.
I wasn't allowed to dye my hair until I left my mother's house and got into college. That's
Wow.
the first time I dyed my
Hey,
hair.
I met a guy at college who couldn't come with me to Edmonton because he had bleached the tips of his hair. Your roommate, I won't say his name.
What?
He couldn't, in case his parents saw him
Oh my gosh.
in Edmonton, and he was on his own in Calgary. And we won't say
He
who
certainly
that.
has blossomed since then.
Oh yeah, but he was just a kid when I met him, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, that's I think that's it
Yeah.
for
That's it.
our
Wait, did we pass 222 on 22? One more minute.
one more minute.
Take care. 222. It's a portal. Make a wish and dance.
222, that's 3 2s. February 2nd of the 22nd, that's another 3
Look at
2s.
that.
On 2022, tripling our wishes, kids. 3 wishes. Always
Wish
be
it big.
careful
Right now,
about what
make
you
a
wish
wish.
for. Always be careful.
Or a torch.
Or a torch.
Here we go.
There it is.
There we go. I'm going to make a wish.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, you need the microphone.
Oh, yeah, don't take our
I want to go
microphone
blast
yet.
everyone with annoying
So
texts right
that's
this
it
second.
for this week's episode. I think we're kind of getting into a little bit of a rhythm here. I want to say thank you to Brian. And next week we're going to have Jessica from Feast Studio and Letter Press, or Feast Studio and Press. Did I get that right?
He's the artist.
It was Feast Letterpress, but now it's Feast Studio and Press.
Yeah.
And they are real adventurers, and we're going to hear their story. And they have
back
many.
in.
They'll always have many stories to tell because they are adventurers. So, and they are one of the tenants here that we get to share space with here at C Space. So, again, thank you to C Space. Thank you to Ron Chikora for all your technical assistance. You heard it here. Brian was blown away. So maybe you can give him some help with that. And the camera store for supplying me with almost all my equipment whenever they can, and lots of good advice. And what else? And all the tenants. Jennifer, lovely Jennifer.
Happy to help.
Have a happy day. It's always better when Jennifer's here. And Miss Cherry Deacon, you want to say hello to the folks in YouTube land? Oh, look at her. She's so pretty. Her lipstick matches her top.
Gotta have your lipstick, ladies.
Yeah, that's another story, but Jennifer saved me. And then, and then Cindy Lee is not here today, and everyone else that makes this world a better place, we thank you. And always, I want to say thank you to Herb for making all my dreams come true. And someday I'll be gonna maybe be able to say that without tears coming to my eyes. But okay, that's it. We're gonna fade to black.